What's up? I'm here today to talk about Magic Roads 2 on RGT. In this video, I'm going to talk about what a magic road is, why you would want to use one, and also how you make one. Now, this climb you see in front of you is not a new course on RGT. This is one of my local training climbs that I uploaded my GPX, and now I'm riding it on my trainer. So if you've seen my channel, you're used to seeing me on magic roads, which look like this. And I know some people have been confused by what they're looking at here when they see my RGT races. So magic roads is kind of the big revolutionary feature on RGT where you can take a GPX file, which is basically your GPS for any route. Most of your software like Strava or Map My Ride, Map My Run, all that stuff is creating GPX files, working off GPX files. So what RGT does here is take those GPX files and then follow the elevation profile as well as the turns and corners and then create this road based on that profile. So in essence, you can create courses of any road that you have ridden or that you want to ride that you can create a GPX file for. It creates this sort of standard width road based on your GPS points, and then it adds scenery to the sides. And what we're looking at now is Magic Roads 1, which only generated a little bit of scenery off to either side and then had this sort of like standard like Truman Show dome, sort of like matrix grid way in the background, which honestly never bothered me. But a lot of people looking at it would say, like, why does it look like this? And it's kind of just randomly putting these trees and shrubs here. But this was huge for me getting on RGT originally. What we're looking at is the Women's Tour of Britain. So this route that I'm racing on right now is part of the actual Women's Tour of Britain. And this was pulled straight from a GPX file and uploaded. And we were racing on the real roads. So the courses are infinitely variable. You can race anything that you could race in real life. It's a huge feature for me, but the look of it seems to have thrown people off. Now, why would this be a huge feature? So I see a lot of cool use cases for this. One obvious one is pre-riding or testing out a course that you're going to be riding or racing in real life. Say you've got a time trial coming up. You could actually upload your time trial course onto Magic Roads and try out your actual pacing plan. Now, it's going to be a little bit different because you are inside on your trainer, but it's going to be a lot closer than it will be to maybe get out on the road where you got to start and stop. And you can see how closely you can replicate. And there's nothing stopping you from getting in your actual TT position and seeing if you can put out that power. What you're looking at here is I've taken a lap of a race that happens annually in Alabama, the Mobile Cycling Classic. And I've actually taken the course, I've thrown it on RGT, and then I've also put some bots in here to race with me. So these are all like NPC bots that I've programmed to ride at certain wattages, and I'll show you how to do that later. But I know this is not going to be like totally realistic to the real thing, but it is going to give me an idea, and it's going to be more fun than just training in a void and trying to imagine that I'm on the course or whatever. The other two major uses I can think of for Magic Roads is what you've been seeing on my channel. You want to do some racing on the internet, and you don't want to do the same courses every week or be limited by the courses that are on the platform you're using. Or maybe there's a climb or a course that you can't get to in real life that you want to train on or you want to ride while you're stuck inside for the winter. That covers what Magic Roads are and why you'd want to use them, or why I want to use them, and what initially drew me to RGT about them, all the different use cases I could think of for that feature. So what's different about Magic Roads 1 versus Magic Roads 2? So what we're looking at right now is Magic Roads 1, and you can see that climb had sort of this highway overpass look, and you can see it going up into the distance. Switching over to Magic Roads 2, the big obvious feature here that's been added is the scenery. It goes all the way into the distance on either side. There's a lot more variety in what's being rendered. And then also this like rock cliff face you see on the right, that's actually because the climb takes a right turn here and goes up that direction. So rather than seeing that sort of like unsupported overpass going up that way, it's actually making these cliff faces. But now when you make one of these climbs with Magic Roads 2, it's sort of filling in the gaps for you and making it feel a little bit more natural. It's not going to be, exactly like real life, but I think it will satisfy some of those people who are bothered by the sort of like blank or monotonous look of Magic Roads 1. And I think especially when you're making like a switchback climb and it's filling it in with those rocky sheer cliffs, I think that stuff looks way better than it does back here on Magic Roads 1. So let's say you want to actually create a Magic Road. You need a GPX file. So I've gone back through my own Strava and found the Tour de Bay crit that I showed a little footage of earlier. I'm scrubbing through here to see where the first lap ends. I'm looking for the time code of where that first lap ends, and then I'm going to go up here and export the GPX. I'm just going to remember that time code. And the reason I want to do that is if you can get that beginning and end real close, you can actually create a multi-lap course on RGT. So I'm on this GPX splitter. This is just a free website, and I downloaded that GPX file. I'm uploading it to this website, and then I'm going to trim it down to a single lap. This is one of the big updates in Magic Roads 2. It used to be that the only way to do a lapped course, and you've seen this in some of my other videos, was to actually find a GPX or create a GPX file that did the number of laps you wanted to do in your event. And then essentially, as you were racing around each lap, RGT was creating a new road on top of the road you just were on, which created some weird glitches. It did work, but it also made it hard for an organizer if you wanted to add or subtract laps from your event. Just to double check that I've got that lap right, I'm coming over to this GPX visualizer and loading it up. This is another free website, and I'm just going to let this show me a map and make sure that, yep, that start and finish are pretty close right there. So I think I'm good to go. So now I've split that first lap off. I've downloaded just the first lap. I'm going to go over to my email, and then you email magicroads@rgt.com. I'm going to attach the file that I just created. That's the one that's split down to just the one lap. Attach that. And once you send that email to RGT, they start building your road. And if there's some sort of problem with your GPX, you'll get back an email saying that. Once it's good to go, you'll get back an email saying it's ready. Sometimes it'll even pop up in your app before it's ready. So this that I'm showing is one of these little test events. I did a bunch of these where I would just make a road based on a course I knew or had raced before, and then do a little race with some bots on it to test it out. I'm going to let this play in the background while I show you guys the process. This is the Sunny King crit in Anniston, Alabama, one that I've raced several times. On RGT, everything's controlled through the mobile app, so you're going to come over here and click in the top right here. That's going to reveal this menu. You click on Magic Roads right here. That's going to take you to a list of all your Magic Roads that are completed. You will get an email back from RGT telling you it's done, but it honestly pops up here quicker, so within 2 or 3 minutes, it's normally on this list. And then you can choose whether you want to do a race or a group right here. I'm going to choose race. That's going to bring you to the details screen where you can name your race, you can change the time of the race, which you can set for about 5 minutes out and you'll be fine. You do have to set an event even if you just want to ride by yourself, and that gives the RGT servers time to load your road up and get it ready to go. The final thing on this screen is to set the number of laps you want to do if you're doing a lapped course like this crit course. This is the new feature on Magic Roads 2. If your start and finish are real close, it will automatically detect that this is a lapped road. So if you don't see the field for that, that means that Magic Roads has not detected your lap. So you need to go back a couple of steps to that GPX trimming and make sure your start and finish are as close as you can get them. Once it recognizes that that's a lapped course, it'll give you the option to choose the amount of laps you want to do here. That's it for the details tab, and then you can switch over to bots. You can change the number, you can change the minimum and maximum power, and then also how that's distributed. For most of these test races, I put most of the bots riding right above and below my threshold, and it made for some interesting racing where it kind of, you'd see the races like in ribbons right now, but they're all scrambling trying to get back on, and it makes it pretty interesting. I did a few like 20 lap races on some of these courses where, you know, it would break down coming out of the corners and little groups would form, and you know, it's not as tactical as racing real people, but it is pretty interesting. If you don't want bots, you can just choose 0 on that screen. You can invite real people to these races if you want to as well. You can mix real people and bots. You can just post it'll give you a link, and you can send that link to people and they can sign up via their own RGT mobile app, or you can add bots. You can take bots away. You can try and get more people. If you choose public on the event creation, once you get 20 signups, it'll actually show up in the RGT mobile app for everyone. So that's what a lot of the races you see me doing on my channel are. And I wanted to show, this is the climb I set up just as a group ride, and this is a climb I train on. This is where we started the video. I wanted to come back to some of this footage. You can see it mapped out there, all the switchbacks and everything. So during COVID, RGT made every feature on their platform free. So for a while there, you could do every single thing there. Structured workouts, create magic roads, all that stuff was totally free. When they released Magic Roads 2, they've gone back to a system that's got a free tier and a premium tier, and I'll throw what those are up right here while I talk about it. But basically, they still have a free tier, and on the free tier, you can ride on the platform, you can race on the platform, which is huge for me. So if you want to just get on here and try out some group rides or races, you can do that. You just have to do rides or races that someone else is setting up. And if it's on a Magic Road, that's still available to you. You just can't make your own Magic Roads unless you're a premium member. So you can get on here and try out some races, try out some group rides, feel the dynamics. You can ride on the real roads or the Magic Roads. And they even have some of their workouts in the free tier currently, so you can try those out too. So this has been a pretty basic guide on Magic Roads. Now, Magic Roads only work with the GPX data you give it, which depending on your Garmin, depending on how humid it was that day, or Wahoo, or whatever your head unit is that you're using to record, or you can just create them in software that you would use to like plan a route. You could create it that way and then export that. My point here is that the quality of GPX data is really all over the map, and all RGT has to work with is what you give it. So what do you do if you got weird GPX data and it's giving you a weird road, or you can't find something good for the route you want? Luckily, John Bytheway has just released a really in-depth video about how to smooth and edit GPX data. So even if your data is not great, you can move those data points around a little bit, smooth them out. And I wanted to show this one because this is a course that doubles back on itself. So that kind of confuses RGT a little bit. I was honestly pleasantly surprised at how well it handled this little out and back right here. It did like put a little bit of scenery on the road because it's trying to populate scenery for my road on the road next to it and vice versa. But honestly, I thought this would completely trip up the software, and it handled this really well. But I'm going to link John's video in the description. Yeah, you can see those bushes right there. Those are actually scenery for the road over to the right. But again, I'm going to link John's video in the description, and you can use that to go through and actually move this road where it would work a little smoother and the turns will flow a little bit better. I'll also throw in John, actually, after our Snake Alley race, he went back and smoothed out that route for us, fixed all those corners, and it flows a lot better, looks a lot better. He posted a video of that as well. So I'll link his stuff in the description, and that's a really good example of how good you can make these roads look. If you guys have any other questions, let me know in the comments. What do you guys think about Magic Roads? It's super exciting to me. I'm interested to see what other people think about it and what cool ideas you guys can come up with, like Watt per kg is going to put on stages based in France every day that the actual Tour de France is on, a little bit like they did with the Giro on RGT. So yeah, let me know what ideas you guys have for this feature. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll try and point you in the right direction. Thanks for watching.